You can never have enough basil, right? So what if you could buy it just once and from that grow yourself an endless supply? Basil cuttings are simplicity itself to take. You don't even need any potting mix. All you need is a glass, some scissors, some water, and of course, some basil. I love taking basil cuttings from store-bought basil. It gives you a bit of a head start. They root really easily and it means you get a harvest that much quicker. But today I'm also going to be taking some cuttings from some other potted basils here, including this simply stunning purple leaf basil, a Thai basil here with real good aromas for Asian cooking, and then this stunning little Greek basil too, lovely in salads. What I've got here are 2 lots of basil at different stages of life. The guys in the cup here producing lovely roots already. These are 10 days old from cuttings, and then these guys were potted up last week and they're about 1 month old. You can see by the difference between them how quickly they grow, and that's the secret behind bagging yourself a never-ending supply of this most magnificent of herbs. I've got 2 lots of herbs from the grocery store, packet herbs like this and also potted living herbs. Now packet herbs are nice and cheap, but they can sometimes be a little bit damaged because they got this elastic band that holds them together here, which can kind of dig into the stem and cause it some damage. But you may find that some are perfectly usable. Now what we're looking for is something with the nodes intact here, and then we can take a cutting, cut just below, and then because our cuttings don't have any roots as yet, we need to reduce some of these leaves on top. So just nip these off, and then you've got something like that. And we want cuttings between about 8 to 15 centimetres, that is kind of 3, 4 to 6 inches in height. However, I'm not convinced these are that great and they can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. So I'm going to take most of my cuttings from this really healthy looking living herb. So what we're going to do is make a cut just above a node there, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then we're going to trim these all up. So take off the lowest bit there, just below a node, and remove most of the leaves, leaving just the ones on top. So these are all cuttings of Genovese or sweet basil, the most common basil that's got a huge range of options and uses in the kitchen. So I've got my perfect cuttings here. They're between 3 to 6 inches or 8 to 15 centimetres long. I've cut just below a leaf node here, and I've removed most of the leaves to leave just the ones in top. So these should do very nicely. Next job is to pop them in a pot and fill it with water so that just the leaves are sticking proud of the water. These guys are going to go indoors onto a sunny windowsill to root, and they should produce roots within a matter of days. Now use mains water here, not rainwater, and do keep it topped up. Should it get cloudy, just swish it out and put fresh water in there so it's nice and clear and clean. And all of this lot I've cut off, well, this isn't going to waste. This is going to make me a beautiful pesto. Bung it in a blender, add some pine nuts, a little hard cheese, some extra virgin olive oil, good quality, and then whiz it all up. And that will make a beautiful accompaniment to pasta, or layered onto fish and then baked in the oven. I'm now going to take some more cuttings using these other plants here. Now when taking cuttings from actively growing plants, we want just vegetative growth. We don't want any stems that have got flower buds on. So it's something like this, nice and healthy, no flower buds. You can see here that there are buds, so I won't take cuttings from this. If I did, it wouldn't root very well, it would grow very poorly, because all this wants to do is flower. So stick with just the leafy growth. Hello Rosie, how are you darling? It's a good girl. Always likes to inspect the work and make sure we're doing a good job. Now I've got my cuttings taken here, and it's exactly the same as my grocery store basil. I'm going to trim them up to just below a leaf node, so there, and remove those lowest leaves. Now it might be reasonable to assume that when we're taking cuttings, we're weakening the parent plant that they're being taken from, but in fact the opposite is true. When we take a cutting, and take it back down to where there are some branches here, what we're going to do is actually create new shoots and create an even bushier, stockier plant that's going to last a lot longer and ultimately give you more harvests. Let me show you with this plant here. Now, I took a cutting from this about 2 weeks ago, and if we look closely, here we go, we can see that where I took the cutting has already healed up, and there are 2 new shoots coming out from the node here that will form 2 new branches. So that one branch is now going to be 2, and that ultimately, done all over the plant, will create a far bushier plant. I just want to explain something to make it extra clear. When you take a cutting, you're taking it from just below a leaf node like that, but then you've got this bit of stalk here that's sort of sticking out. We want to reduce that down to just above a leaf node, the next one lowest, because that's just going to die off anyway, and it'll keep everything nice and neat. So let's take another look at our rooted cuttings. So as I say, these were taken 10 days ago, and the very first roots only showed 4 days ago, and now look at them, they grow on so quickly. I reckon that at least a few of these are good to pot up. Now, I like to pot up and grow on my basil cuttings before planting them either into the ground or a larger container, because they are still quite vulnerable at this stage and need a little bit of mollycoddling. Now, for this, you can use any all-purpose peat-free potting mix. And then to help with drainage, and because I have it, I've got some perlite. Now, this isn't essential, but if you do have perlite lying around, then, well, it's worth adding a little bit because it will help to improve the drainage of our mix. And these warmth-loving herbs really will appreciate that. Got my pots of potting mix and perlite, and then just use your finger to dib at a hole, and then hold the cutting by the leaves if you can, because the stem can be delicate, and then just carefully lower down up to the same sort of height it was at in the water, and then just firm in around your cutting like that. I've left one here because the roots are still quite small, so I'll give that a few more days. Now, all that's left to do now is give these guys a little bit of a drink. And because the root system isn't that well developed, I'm going to have to keep a close eye on these and water them regularly. But once they do find their feet, I'll need to water them a lot less often. So these will go back inside on a kind of bright windowsill to grow on, and then once they have got that root system, they can come more reliably out into the sort of direct outside sun. Now, these guys are just 2 weeks on from these guys, and you can see how much fuller and bigger. They got new growth here, and so they do put on that growth very quickly. Within another month or so, you'll be able to start cutting off shoots like this to enjoy in your cooking, and encouraging your plants to bush out and grow even more for harvesting later on. And of course, you'll be able to take more cuttings to keep this glorious cycle going on and on and on. Head here next for more on growing herbs from cuttings, including from grocery store packets of thyme, mint and rosemary. Never-ending herbs for next to nothing? Perfect. I'll catch you next time.